Good morning, friends. I'm Dewey, and my Tech Talk topic for today is USB 4, the rest of the story. When I last spoke on USB 4 2 weeks ago, I concluded my Tech Talk by quoting Michelle, who was writing about USB in a MacSales.com blog. I think it best to first review what she wrote, so here goes. Michelle said, USB-C is a connection type. USB-C is not Thunderbolt 3, Thunderbolt 4, or USB 4. It's only the connection type that those technologies use. To understand the difference between those technologies, you have to go past the USB-C connector, even though they all share it. Thunderbolt 3, Thunderbolt 4, and USB 4 are communication standards or protocols that provide a set of features for a computer to interact with devices through that USB-C connection. All three of these communication standards use the USB-C connection type to connect to computers and devices. The difference between Thunderbolt 3 and Thunderbolt 4 is that Thunderbolt 4 guarantees certain specifications that are optional with the Thunderbolt 3 standard. Thunderbolt 4 is always 40 gigabits per second, while Thunderbolt 3 and USB 4 can operate at either 20 or 40 gigabits per second. The difference between Thunderbolt 3 and USB 4 is purely in name. The actual standards are identical, important to remember. In fact, Intel gave the Thunderbolt 3 standard to the USB Implementers Forum, which allowed for the adoption of the technology on USB 4 devices. As far as compatibility and performance goes, they're practically the same, even though their names are different. As far as cables go, regardless of whether the device is USB 4 or Thunderbolt 4, Michelle advises, it's best to purchase a Thunderbolt 4 cable to work with any of those devices to guarantee full compatibility. Since Thunderbolt 4 includes support for USB and DisplayPort, if you see the Thunderbolt logo, which is a small lightning bolt and the number 4 on the cable, you can check at the right, you know that connection can do it all. It's a great connection, Thunderbolt 4. This is the point at which I stopped 2 weeks ago asking the question, what is DisplayPort? In seeking an answer to this question, I discovered a wonderful reference tool at PCMag.com called simply Encyclopedia. When Encyclopedia is open, you'll immediately see an easy method for finding the definition of a technical term. It looks like this. Browse Encyclopedia and you choose the alphabetical letter with which your term begins. When I clicked on D to find a definition for DisplayPort, I had to scroll through around 1,200 terms beginning with the letter D to find it. And by the way, the alphabetical letter D alone had approximately 3,000 definitions in total. This is an amazing encyclopedia. DisplayPort, written as a single word, may be defined as a digital interface between a computer and a monitor, stressing the word digital. It uses a small connector and thin cable that extends up to 50 feet. DisplayPort supports pulse code modulation audio with sampling rates up to 196 kilohertz, as well as supporting HDMI's HDCP anti-piracy protocol that is honored by some devices. Defining DisplayPort further becomes very complicated, and I fear would find little interest with our Tech for Seniors audience. So I think it's best to stop at this point. Well, that's my Tech Talk story for today, and I am sticking with it. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. And next week, I'm going to be starting a series on EVs, electrical vehicles, cars and trucks, and I think you'll find it interesting.
Preserving your family home movies. Hope we all realize that every day your precious, one-of-a-kind tape home movies are degrading. Now, 20th century videotape formats. There were several videotape formats that consumers used 20 plus years ago to record family activities before the digital age arrived. Who remembers these videotape formats? Betamax. Actually, I owned one of the earliest Betamax machines and really liked that, but no, what took over was VHS.
Good morning.
VHS-C, C standing for compact. Then there was the mini DV, and then the one I used in the 90s mostly was called High 8. Now the steps to take for converting these home movies from analog to digital. The very first thing you have to decide is if you're going to use an online service or is this going to become a do-it-yourself project. If it's going to be do-it-yourself, and that's what I'm going to be focused on now, then you have to decide what equipment do you need to do this. What software are you going to want to use? Now the next step after you make those decisions is to copy the complete tape to the computer as an MP4 file. Then you're going to want to review that entire MP4 file first and keep a written record of where each segment that you want to keep begins and ends, time-wise. Then you bring in the video editing software that is going to allow you to break into separate smaller clips, those from this longer video, and save them with the names that identify the saved video clip itself. And then the last step is to save these clips in a folder named with the year they took place. So let's go through these one by one. Right off the bat, are you going to use a professional copy service to convert your tape home movies to digital format? Well, the pros are someone else does most of the work. And that there's several services that for a fee will digitize, and I'm going to focus just on two today, Walmart and Legacy Box. They will give you a choice of either getting back a DVD of your tape or a flash drive, or the ability to download from the cloud when the project is completed. Now, on the negative side, this takes typically 3 to 4 weeks for the digital file and your originals to be returned to you. Now, it's very, very rare, but the potential will always exist for loss or damage to the originals. Now, depending on how much you have to convert, this can be expensive. These are the Legacy Box rates that I just looked up as of April 2022. And they do it, and they charge you based on how many tapes you present to them. So if you have just 2 tapes, again, you can see $50.98, 10 tapes, $229.98. Let's see, all the way up to 40 tapes, $904.98. So yes, this can become an expensive proposition, but then again, somebody else is doing almost all the work, so maybe it's worthwhile to you. Now, if you're going to make it a do-it-yourself project, this is the equipment that you're going to need. Now, depending on the tape format, you will need either a camcorder or a VHS player to play your tape. Now, if you no longer have the original camcorder, then you'll need to obtain one. Now, maybe you're lucky and you can borrow one from a friend. If not, you can purchase one used from a thrift store or on eBay. And the good news is once you're all done with your project and it's still working, you can always resell it. And then another thing to do is to check if a local camera store may rent camcorders. And then you're going to need another important item here, and that's called a video capture adapter. And that's what you're going to use to connect between the player and your computer. So I purchased a video capture adapter. It's called Roxio Easy VHS to DVD, and I got this at an estate sale for 25 cents. One of the best investments I ever made. Now, when this product was new, it was for Windows XP and Vista, so that'll give you an idea of how old it was. But the key here is the hardware. The picture at the bottom there shows you what the hardware looks like. So all I did was, when I got this home, I went to the 𝐓𝐼𝐼 website and downloaded the latest software. So this saved me, instead of buying the latest version on Amazon for just under $40, I was able to use this for 25 cents. Now, there is an equivalent on Amazon from a company called DigitNow, and they sell the same, what appears to be the same video capture adapter for only $12.99. Now, mind you, I've never used it, so I can't tell you one way or the other on that particular hardware. The one I've used is the Roxio. Now, here's what it looks like when it's set up. On one end of the adapter, it has the standard red, white, yellow RCA connectors. It also has an S-video connection if at one time you use the higher quality video instead of the yellow line. And that goes to the camcorder, while the other end has a USB that connects to the PC. With the software open on the computer, you play the tape, and in real time, it will be recorded to the computer as an MP4 file. Now, you can choose to make a DVD, but you have many more options if the result is a computer file. From the beach to the snow. How many can relate to that? If you're like me, a typical 2-hour video cassette tape covers multiple activities and events that may have taken place over several months' time. Thus, my situation of going from a beach scene to a snow scene. Now, for this project to be meaningful, I think what you want to do is edit the video into individual segments, with each file name containing a brief description of what was recorded. Example, you might say something like Joey's 10th birthday party. And you save this in a folder in the family video library named with the year the video was taken. I don't go to the trouble to specify the specific date, as this usually shows up in the actual video in the opening scene for those that need to know that bit of data. So what I do is I watch the video before I do any editing. So here's an example where I've created a spreadsheet. This is the family tape number 1, and I show the start time, the stop time, and the scene. Little description of the scene. And you can see as you look at these times, often they will jump, not go exactly from second to second with each number, with each line. And that's because I'll come across parts of the video that don't need to be saved. Maybe the camera was not recording properly, or any number of reasons. This way, I know beforehand, before I actually do the editing, where I need to stop and start. And so I do this by scanning quickly, as I say, through the video. And I've used a spreadsheet, but a pencil and paper will do just as well. And now I know what this information is up front. And this will then allow me to skip over parts of the video that do not need to be saved. Now, this may seem like extra time spent, but I can tell you with this step, it more than makes up for the time saved when you're actually doing the video editing. And now you want to use your favorite video editing software. There's many that are available to purchase, or in my case, download for free. You just have to use the one that you're most comfortable with. My choice for this project is one called 𝐓𝐼𝐼. It's free and open source, and I find it very simple to use. And there are many YouTube instructional videos available for this software to watch and learn from. But again, if you're using one in the past, this kind of process of clipping out just segments of the video is pretty common, and almost all the video editing software will allow you to do this. So here's the steps of the process I use. I copy the full video to the video editor, and then using the software controls to indicate where I want to start and end a particular video clip. And then using that spreadsheet or pencil and paper listing I created, I can quickly find where these start and stop locations are. And then once it's done, I create a main folder named Family Videos, and then save this clip in a subfolder named for the year the activity took place. Again, as I said before, give the clip an activity name that will quickly identify it. Identify with names of key people, and then you can share with your family all of these clips by copying them to a hard drive, or as I'm going to be doing, I'm going to have them on my Plex server and to give my family access to my server so they can watch these easily on their main TV anytime they like. So that's the process I've used for converting those priceless analog tape family videos to a digital format. I hope this was informative, and thank you very much.
Google Lens. I'm Hewie Poplock. Google Lens has been lurking around on Android and quietly getting more and more capable for years, since 2017. Google curiously doesn't make a big deal about it, and you really have to go out of your way to even realize that it exists. Google Lens is best described as a search engine for the real world. It uses artificial intelligence to identify text and objects, both within images and in a live view from your phone's camera. And it then lets you learn about and interact with those elements in all sorts of interesting ways. You install the Google Lens app on your Android device from the Google Play Store. Google Lens doesn't have its own dedicated app on Apple's App Store. Instead, its functionality is baked into two different Google apps. Which one is best for you will depend upon how you plan to use Google Lens and on which device. The first option to use Google Lens on your iPhone or iPad is the Google app. This gives you access to a whole range of Google services on your iPhone, including personalized news stories, sports updates, and weather info, as well as a full suite of Google search tools, including Google Lens. Alternatively, you can install the Google Photos app instead. This is the best option for iPad. Google Photos is the Google Cloud's photo backup service, and it includes a whole host of neat features for editing and organizing your images online. It also incorporates Google Lens. Open any image from your camera roll in the Google Photos app, and with just a tap, you'll be able to analyze it for information using Google Lens. There's a real good article on how to set up and use Google Lens on an iPhone, and the link is on the bottom of this page. There are 12 ways Google Lens can make you more productive on Android. Copy text from the real world, send text from the real world to your computer, hear text from the real world read aloud, interact with text from an image, search for text from any physical document or image, create a calendar event, save someone's contact information, email, call, text, or navigate to a website, translate text from the real world, scan barcodes and QR codes, use Lens from image search, photos, and your phone's camera, and get to Lens without lifting a finger. We're going to cover some of these. Open Google's Lens app, tap the document icon, and aim your phone at the document. Within about a second, you'll see Lens highlight the text. Let's take a look. We click the app. We zoom in with our camera and get the app just where we want. We then select all, copy the text. Then we can paste that into any document. For instance, we'll open up a Google Doc. And we'll paste. And there's all that document. Now you can paste it into a Google Doc and enlarge the font within the Google Doc. Now I've opened that same document on my PC, was the original size of the font, and we can increase that and then save the document. You can translate texts and you can do image searches. We're going to kind of do both with this next example. We're going to look at a magazine cover. We're going to go to translate and immediately translate it. We've got it set for Spanish, but there are many languages that you can use to translate, and it will automatically translate it for you. Then you can go to the search and then look, and it's looking at the pictures and the words and coming up to some examples which you click on and go to. Lens will replace the words on your screen with their English equivalents or with a translation in whatever language you select. Now, you can identify plants, you can identify clothes, and so on, but we're going to use plants as an example here. I'm looking at a plant outside my home. I click on it, search, and it actually tells me the name of the plant. And then it gives me other examples of that plant in different locations or something similar to it. And all of those are links in which I could go to if I wanted to. We click on one of them. It gives us the name of the plant, and it gives us a picture of it. Lens can actually identify things in a picture like people, text, math equations, animals, landmarks, products, and even more. You can even look up UPC codes using Lens. Pick a box, go to the UPC code, click on it, go to search, and it will find lots of articles about that item. It'll actually find the item in Amazon and other locations that it's for sale. You click on one and you can see the item. Get the information from a business card. So we'll start Google Lens. We'll look at a business card. We'll tell it we want text. When we click on it, we have a choice of selecting all, which we will. It highlights all of it. And then we look below and it'll give us information, or we can just grab that text and copy it and then put it in any particular program or add it to our contacts. Use Lens from your PC. Here I've taken a picture of a figurine. This could be any picture in your browser. You right mouse click it and you search the image with Google Lens. When you do, it will find similar and the same item. In this case, it found where that item can be purchased at 𝐓𝐼𝐍𝐼.com for $35. It also shows other figurines of pelicans, and you can search for just pelicans and get information as well. So what's next for Google Lens? Given that Google Lens represents the cutting edge of camera technology and Google's implementation of it, there are constantly small updates and rumored features for the app on the horizon. The function of Google Lens, the best way to use Google Lens is for you to decide. Anytime you see something worth remembering or learning more about is the right time to give Google Lens app its chance to shine. I highly recommend giving Google Lens app a try. This has been Google Lens. I'm Hewie Poplock.